live from New York City and serving New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. This is News Bulletin 28 for Thursday, June 18th, 2026.
New at 4:30, a cab driver whose taxi was vandalized by out-of-control Knicks fans is talking about the impact to his livelihood.
But we do have some good news for him. News 4's Charles Watson live with a look at who's been stepping in to help. Charles.
Yeah, Natalie and Rana, well, that taxi driver, that cab driver, says he is still fighting through the trauma of that night when he was surrounded by a rowdy group of Knicks fans who allegedly assaulted him and badly damaged his cab. What's made it all bearable, though, for the victim is the outpouring of support he says he's now receiving. Noureddin Batat says he feels lucky to be here after being mobbed by countless Knicks fans celebrating the team's historic 29-point comeback during Game 4 of the NBA Finals 1 week ago. The 59-year-old had just dropped a customer off when he was suddenly swarmed by crowds of people on 36th and 7th as he was waiting at a red light, his interpreters explaining what happened next.
Once they opened the doors, the 4 doors and the trunk, he was really scared. Someone grabbed him from his neck and they put him out of the car. Some others, they were punching him on the head.
Sir, this is my car.
In this video recorded by Batat, moments after, you can hear him explaining to police what happened. The cab left with a shattered windshield while Batat was sent to the hospital for back pain and bouts of dizziness. The NYPD has arrested one person connected to the incident and is looking for several more.
The crowd was big. You could be stopped easy.
Batat, who is a former teacher and has a wife and 3 kids back in his native Algeria, was left unsure of how he would make ends meet without his lone source of income. That is until he received a call from Mayor Mamdani, who was looking to help, and this unexpected ex-post from rapper French Montana, who coordinated the setup of a GoFundMe for Batat that so far raised nearly $70,000. The executive director of the New York Taxi Workers Alliance says it's a lifeline for what would have been a very tough financial hardship if Batat had to rely on workers' comp.
They get less than like $250 a week if they're out of work, even if it's due to an injury. I mean, how could anybody survive?
Fortunately for Batat, that's not an issue he'll have to stress over, thanks to the generous help of all the New Yorkers who have stepped in to donate.
He's feeling that he's among his family. Yeah, he's really happy, yeah.
Now, Batat says he's not blaming all Knicks fans for the actions of a few. He's just hoping that they all celebrate peacefully at the big parade tomorrow. As for when he will return to work, that is apparently not in the cards for him. He says he's quitting the business. For now, we're live in front of the Garden. Charles Watson, News 4 New York.
It's been over 24 hours since that shooting, and since then we've been able to see how police have been able to capture the suspect. And here at the hospital, even new safety measures were put in place. New surveillance video obtained by NBC 10 shows the moment Wilmington Hospital shooting suspect, 23-year-old John Wallace Bay, is taken into custody Tuesday night in Philadelphia's Olney neighborhood. Police say just hours earlier, Wallace Bay is accused of opening fire inside the hospital, shooting 2 19-year-olds, killing one and wounding the other, in what investigators called a targeted, isolated attack. The violence forced the entire hospital into lockdown, with patients, visitors, and staff rushed out or told to shelter in place. Wallace Bay was on the run. 3 hours later, officials eventually tracked him to a home on the 800 block of Welland Street in Olney. Police say he got into an SUV that was operating as an Uber with a woman. Minutes later, police pulled that vehicle over near 9th and Lindley, where you see in this video Wallace being arrested. As part of this multi-state investigation, police also towed a Toyota RAV4, found a block away.
See him all the time. He's real quiet. Never really had a lot of interactions with him, but he seemed like introverted and he's really quiet.
John Richardson is neighbors with Wallace Bay in Newcastle. Christiana Care confirmed the suspect and the 2 victims all worked for the health system. Several workers tell NBC 10 the 23-year-old worked as an IT intern.
I still looked around because I was a little bit nervous, not really knowing what to expect.
Olin Stevenson was at the hospital during the shooting, visiting his 73-year-old mother, who is a patient.
She was scared because SWAT came into her room And she was like, guns were drawn, and she said, I almost had a heart attack.
He was on the first floor and could hear the shots below him.
I got through the door, but it wouldn't lock behind me, and staff was actually there, and they wouldn't let me in.
24 hours after the shooting, new safety measures were put in place at the hospital. Workers say visitors already go through metal detectors, but employees could previously enter with a badge and bypass screening. Today, that changed.
We had to go through metal detectors this morning and get searched. Usually we don't.
I think now in this situation would allow them to better plan for situations like this, because nobody would ever suspected that it was going to come from the inside.
Police have still not released any information about the possible motive, and they have also not released the identities of the victims. In Wilmington, Delaware, Shaira Arias, NBC 10 News.
14-year-old girl is now charged in connection with swatting calls that targeted Killingly's public school district, and police say their investigation on this started back in March.
NBC Connecticut's Melissa Cooney is joining us live in Danielson. Melissa, you've been speaking with law enforcement and people in town. What else can you tell us about this arrest?
Well, after many calls were made that were false and swatting to the Killingly Public Schools I spoke with, people say this gives them a little bit of closure. Now, it's not exactly clear how many of these swatting calls are connected to this teen, but like I said, people are just glad they have some answers now.
I was really terrified. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know if there was a shooter or if we were getting bombed, if it was like an actual incident that was happening.
It's hard for Killingly students to shake the terrifying feeling of going into lockdown. Graduating senior Aurora Beggs recalls 3 swatting incidents since March.
We've had a lot of closing incidents. Our bus had to turn back a few times because of it. We've missed quite a few hours, and so it's really pushed back a lot of stuff for a lot of students.
The kids are supposed to go there, be safe, but I don't feel safe because every week or every other week they were getting locked down, not notified. I was only sending emails.
It's been an unsettling experience for parents, too.
Yeah, I don't feel safe sending him.
Connecticut State Police, with the help of the Killingly School Resource Officer, investigated and charged a 14-year-old girl with false reporting of a large-scale emergency, breach of peace, and making a violent threat that caused an evacuation after looking at electronic data.
Typically, the offenders use technology to assist in the perpetrating of the swatting incident, and these individuals will utilize things like phone spoofing technology, VPNs, voice over IPs, as well as voice anonymizing technology.
Donald Chu, assistant special agent in charge with the FBI New Haven Bureau, can't comment on this case specifically, but says generally the motive behind swatting is to cause disruption and fear. He says swatting calls are increasing in state and nationally.
The data that's collected from the use of technology is a critical tool in identifying the perpetrator and then furthering the investigation.
In a statement, Superintendent Susan Nash-Ditzel says this highlights how disrupting swatting is and hopes it raises awareness about the severity. And that teen will be in Willimantic Juvenile Court tomorrow. Live in Danielson, Melissa Cooney, NBC Connecticut News.